The Foreign and Expatriates Ministry calls on foreign news media to respect the laws regulating press work in Syria. China reiterates rejection of foreign intervention in Syria's affairs. And Syria strongly condemns the terrorist explosions in Iraq.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to News in English, live from our news center here in Damascus. The Foreign and Expatriates Ministry has stressed the need for foreign media men to respect the laws regulating press work in the Syrian Arab Republic and avoid breaking rules and illegally entering Syrian territories in a bid to have access to turbulent, unsafe areas. The ministry's official spokesman said in a statement today that respecting the laws regulating press work in Syria would allow visiting reporters to get the facilities and care offered by the Ministry of Information, particularly its advices regarding the situation on the ground before they head to any place. The spokesman added that the Ministry of Information is exercising tangible efforts in this respect and has granted entry visas to approximately 200 information delegations over the past 2 months, asserting that such licenses are documented in case some sides doubt that Syria allows the entry of news media men into its territories or not. The Foreign Ministry spokesman said that at the humanitarian level, we offer condolences to the families and to the media institutions for which the journalists who died on Syrian territories worked, affirming that Syria rejects all statements that hold it responsible for the death of any reporters who sneak into Syrian territories at their own responsibility without notifying the Syrian authorities of their entrance and whereabouts in the country. Minister of Information Adnan Mahmoud yesterday said the ministry had no information about the entry or the presence of U.S. journalist Mary Colvin and French photographer Remy Ochlik, as well as other foreign journalists in Syria. In a press statement, the minister added that the authorities in the governorate of Homs were asked to look for the whereabouts of those journalists who were reported by some media to have been hit in Homs. Minister Mahmoud pointed out that the ministry asked all foreign journalists who entered Syria illegally to refer to the nearest immigration and passport center in the areas of their presence to settle their status according to the prevalent laws. Some media networks had earlier quoted armed terrorist groups as saying that American journalist Mary Colvin and French photographer Remy Ochlik had been killed and others injured in an alleged shelling of Homs by the army. Russian President Dmitry Medvedev reiterated Moscow's rejection of what he described as rashness in taking important international decisions about the destiny of certain countries, expressing Russia's interest in preserving the credibility of international institutions. Addressing newly accredited ambassadors of a number of foreign countries at the Kremlin, Medvedev said that decisions of grave importance for the destiny of countries and peoples, particularly in the complicated circumstances of the regional situation, should not be taken rashly and under the influence of intensive propaganda. Russian President said it is a wrong practice in principle and terms of form and content. It is not acceptable that international institutions, particularly the UN, lose their credibility and turn into a so-called group of friends based on political considerations or economic feasibility. In a special interview with the Syrian TV correspondent in Moscow, Russian Deputy Foreign Minister Gennady Gatilov said that Russia's decision not to take part in Tunis meeting is based on its stand, which calls for the necessity of solving the Syrian crisis objectively.
The so-called Friends of Syria meeting, scheduled to be held in Tunis, raises many questions for Russia. It is not understandable for Moscow the principle that was adopted in selecting the participants. What got our attention is that Syria was not invited to take part in this meeting, and this is a wrong step. If they want to see the full view of the crisis, they need to listen to all the parties.
Chinese envoy to the Middle East, Wu Ziki, has reiterated his country's rejection of foreign interference in Syria's affairs. Ziki said all parties in the region have understood China's stand. The Chinese envoy said his country will continue to support a peaceful solution for the crisis in Syria within the framework of the Arab League and to look forward to achieving progress in this direction. Two members of the law enforcement personnel were killed and the third was injured when an armed terrorist group attacked this morning Mahardeh police station in Hama suburbs. According to Sana correspondent, the terrorists, who were riding a car, attacked the aforementioned police station with hand grenades and machine guns, killing Bashar al-Tum and Basim al-Ahmad, injuring a third policeman and kidnapping Lieutenant Iyad al-Miqdad and Sergeant Muhammad Dinawir. The terrorist group also ransacked the police station. On the other hand, an army engineering unit dismantled an explosive charge planted by a terrorist group near the station. 3 members of the law enforcement troops were killed and 7 others were injured when an explosive device planted by an armed terrorist group exploded at the southern entrance of Idlib. Meanwhile, the army engineering units dismantled 3 explosive charges in Jisr al-Shughur. Moreover, authorities were able to free 7 citizens who had been kidnapped by the armed terrorist groups in Ma'arat al-Nu'man today. During the clashes, 2 of the terrorists were killed, one of them called Muhammad Abdullah Itbiye, and 12 others were injured. In Tarnaba village in Idlib suburbs, authorities captured or killed several terrorists who attacked citizens and blocked roads. Some of the armed men surrendered themselves and weapons to the authorities. Sana correspondent said various kinds of weapons comprising automatic rifles, bombs and explosive charges were seized. In cooperation with specialized authorities, the border guards foiled last night an infiltration attempt by an armed terrorist group into Syrian territories from Turkey near Al-Nasra site and Al-Hassaniya village affiliated to Jisr al-Shughur in Idlib suburbs. An official source said the authorities and the border guards prevented the terrorists from infiltrating, killing and wounding a number of them as the others fled in the direction of the Turkish territories. Policeman Ayman Dali and civilian Abdul Latif Islal were killed and 8 others were wounded, one of them seriously, when an explosive charge planted by a terrorist group went off yesterday evening near Al-Hajj Bridge in Aleppo City. The Foreign and Expatriates Ministry strongly condemned the terrorist acts and bombings that took place in Iraq today and simultaneously hit several areas in the capital Baghdad and other places, leaving at least 50 people dead and scores injured. In a statement, the Foreign Ministry's official spokesman offered the ministry's deepest condolences to the Iraqi government and people and the families of the victims, expressing hope that stability and security would prevail in Iraq. Earlier this morning, a series of terrorist attacks targeted different areas in Iraq, especially Baghdad, claiming the lives of 50 Iraqis and the wounding of dozens. Iraqi security forces said that explosive charges, machine guns and booby-trapped cars have hit Salah ad-Din, Diyali and Kirkuk, in addition to Al-Karrada and Al-Qazimiyya quarters in the capital, Baghdad. Well, this is the end of this news bulletin. For more news, visit our website, syriaonline.sy in English. I'll leave you now with Irado and economic news.
Good afternoon. Minister of Agriculture Dr. Riyad Hijab held a conference with all the stakeholders in the agricultural sector in the Latakia Governorate. During the conference, he confirmed that the ministry is working to finding new methods to market the agricultural products, adding that the ministry is also looking for strategic solutions by providing quality infrastructure and spurring the food industry. The Council of the Commission of Exports Promoting and Development has adopted a decision to distribute subsidies for last year's exports of a total value of 551 million Syrian pounds for the exporters of ready-made clothes, food industry and olive oil. The General Director of the Commission, Hussam Al-Yusuf, said that we have more subsidies in 2011 compared to 2010, as the number of subsidized companies has reached to 83. Al-Youssef said that export subsidies have mounted to 100% to be of a total value of 7 billion Syrian pounds compared to 3.5 billion Syrian pounds in 2010. Brent crude rose to its highest level in 9 months after the German business confidence surpassed forecasts, reflecting optimism that steps to resolve Europe's debt crisis will be successful. Brent futures advanced as much as 0.8% to $123 a barrel in London, their strongest since May 3. Brent and crude oil for April settlement are also up. In the Standard and Poor's 500 index are rising faster than its price, remaining 9% cheaper than it was in April, even after the American equities climbed by 6 points compared to last year's peak. European SXXP stocks declined as shares of car makers, travel companies and personal goods producers dropped, as the Europe 600 index is 0.2% down. Japan's Nikkei index rose by 0.4% as some small companies on the Tokyo Exchange rose for the 28th straight running, the longest stretch of gains since 1961. Gold futures jumped to a 3-month high as speculation that the U.S. will extend a stimulus to bolster the economy, while automatic purchases by computer programs may have contributed to the rally. Gold futures for April delivery jumped 0.7% to close at $1,771 an ounce in New York. Silver futures for May delivery fell 0.5% to $34.3 an ounce. The euro strengthened versus the US dollar and the yen after a German report showed business confidence rose more than economists forecast. The 17th nation currency is 0.5% up against the US dollar and climbed 0.3% up against the yen. The US dollar dropped against 13 of its 16 major counterparts. That was our economic bulletin for today. Thank you for watching and bye.